What's up, guys? Welcome to the Chess Giant. This is Solomon Riddell, and today we'll be going over a game by the boxing world champion, Manny Pacquiao. This game was actually just played earlier this year, after a morning training session. Manny Pacquiao is obviously a great fighter, but he's a solid chess player too, and I was surprised at the level at which he played, as he found some pretty nice moves. So let's just hop right in. Manny Pacquiao was playing with the black pieces. e4, c5. Manny going for the Sicilian defense. Knight f3, e6, d4, d5. Here white played e5, and this is looking like more of a French now. a6, c3, bishop e7. Bishop e7 was a little premature for Manny. I think knight c6 was better. Bishop d3, c takes d4, c takes d4, knight c6, just developing castles, queen b6, and knight c3. Now a lot of you might be wondering, wait, isn't there just a pawn on d4 that's ready to be taken? Well, the problem is that after knight takes d4, we have knight takes d4, queen takes d4, and a discovered check with bishop b5 check. And after the bishop's taken, the queen on d4 actually hangs. So Manny was very wise to avoid this pawn on d4 and instead played bishop b4, which shows why bishop e7 was a little premature because he had to move the bishop twice. We have a3, bishop takes c3, and b takes c3, and white is very comfortable in this position. Knight ge7 was played, and white played the very strong move knight g5, and after h6, the very strong queen h5. Here Manny played the best move in the position, g6. And after queen h3, bishop d7. Now here in this position, white should try to better the position of his pieces. The best move for white was a4. The idea being that white wants to bring the bishop to a3, where it will be slicing down on the black camp. An example line is rook c8, bishop a3, knight f5, rook fb1, queen d8, attacking the knight on g5. And after a move like f4, black is extremely uncomfortable. We have the rook coming on b7, the bishop slicing on the black camp. The knight on g5 can't be taken because the queen is putting pressure on h8. This is losing. But instead of a4, putting the bishop on a3, white played bishop e3, which white is still doing fine here. But this bishop is not as active here. It's really a tall pawn, as it does not have a lot of activity, right? So here, Manny plays queen b2. Now the best move for white here was to play rook fc1, just defending the pawn. White here has a space advantage and has more development, so he should try to keep the tension and just slowly improve the position. After rook c8, white could play queen h4. After knight d8, c4. White is just being very patient and slowly, surely but slowly, making his position better. But instead, after queen b2, white played rook fb1, which is a mistake. It simply hangs the pawn on c3. The best move here was rook d1. And even though white's down a pawn, white still has an advantage here. But instead of rook d1, white played bishop e2, which is just too passive here. We see knight f5 and knight f3, which is again is another mistake from white. There's just no reason to bring the knight back. And we see that after knight f3, Manny can continue to win more material. With queen takes e3 check, king f1, knight takes d4, snatching up another pawn, right? Knight takes d4, queen takes d4, queen g3. Here Manny finds a nice move, rook c8. This is the best file for the rook, as it creates a lot of activity. Rook d1 and queen a4. This queen on a4 is a very nice square for the queen. It's extremely active and it's hard for white to attack it. Here we see rook db1 attacking the pawn on b7. And here Manny made a mistake. He played rook c4, which obviously just allows white to take the rook, which he didn't even do. And even after that, right? Even after bishop takes c4, Queen takes c4 check. King g1. And castles. Black is still doing better here. This pawn can't be taken because we have queen d4 check, attacking both the king, right, and the rook. So after castles, black's still doing better. But needless to say, going back to where we started, after rook db1, rook c4 is just a mistake, as it allows the bishop to take the rook. Better was just the simple b5, and after a move like rook d1, castles. Black's winning this position. But after rook db1 and rook c4, white didn't take the rook. White took the pawn on b7, in which Manny was easily able to win the game with a nice sequence of moves. Rook f4 check, king g1, again another mistake. And after queen d4 check, the game's over, as king h1, queen takes a1 check, bishop f1, and rook takes f1 checkmate. Manny managed to win this game. Guys, I think something that we can learn from this game is if you have a winning position, if you have an advantage, keep the tension. White failed to do this in this game. White had a great start, but just started to make mistakes, hang pawns, and play passively, and Manny took advantage of it. Keep the tension, play with activity, and always strive to improve the positioning of your pieces. Thanks for watching today's video. If you'd like to watch another one, you can click or tap up here. And I've got a lot more high quality chess content on the way. So if you'd like to subscribe, you can click or tap down here. I really appreciate your support.